Some of these conspiracies are wild, unsettling, and highly speculative. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. Hot-headed ice borer refers to a purported Antarctic creature first reported by scientists in April 1995, described as having a bony protrusion on its head that becomes hot enough to melt through ice, allowing it to hunt penguins from below. The creature was said to reach temperatures of up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit in its cranial plate, achieved through a unique biological process of concentrated blood vessel networks and rapid metabolism of its prey's blubber. Dr. April Patso at the Novosibirsk Institute in Antarctica reported finding several specimens, measuring roughly 12 inches in length with streamlined bodies adapted for swimming through ice tunnels. Observations suggested these animals would melt circular holes in ice sheets, creating traps for penguins who would fall through, after which the borers would feed on the stunned birds in groups. Physical evidence presented included unusual circular holes found in various Antarctic ice formations, particularly around penguin colonies, which showed signs of thermal melting rather than mechanical damage. Several research stations reported unexplained penguin disappearances during the early 1990s, with some claiming to have thermal imaging evidence of hot spots moving beneath the ice surface. The creature's reported biology drew comparisons to certain deep-sea organisms that can generate heat through chemical processes, suggesting the possibility of convergent evolution in extreme environments. Analysis of some Antarctic ice core samples revealed traces of unusual protein structures and organic compounds that couldn't be attributed to known species, though these findings were never formally published in peer-reviewed journals. Sad Satan describes a mysterious video game allegedly discovered on the deep web in 2015, which contained disturbing imagery and hidden messages supposedly linked to real-world criminal cases and government conspiracies. The original game file was reported to have been found through a series of encoded messages on unlisted YouTube videos, leading to an Onion domain that hosted the download. Players who accessed the game documented experiencing strange technical issues with their computers, including system crashes, corrupted files, and unauthorized changes to their operating systems even after the game was deleted. The gameplay footage revealed distorted images of political figures, crime scene photos, and reversed audio tracks containing what sound analysts identified as possible numbers, stations broadcasts, and coded military communications. Multiple versions of the game began circulating online, with some containing malicious code that suggested coordination between different programmers rather than simple copycat projects. Examination of the game's code revealed layers of encryption that pointed to possible government or intelligence agency development techniques, including trace elements of classified programming languages. The original file contained GPS coordinates embedded in its metadata that led to several locations connected to cold case investigations and unreported archaeological sites. Users who attempted to modify or decompile the game reported receiving anonymous emails containing personal information and references to events from their past that were never posted online. Certain sections of the game's audio, when analyzed through spectrograms, revealed images and text strings that matched redacted portions of declassified government documents. Mad honey refers to a rare and potent form of honey produced by bees that feed on rhododendron flowers, containing natural neurotoxins that cause powerful hallucinogenic and intoxicating effects in humans. Ancient Greek armies were once defeated after deliberately leaving stores of mad honey for their enemies to find, leading to mass incapacitation of Roman soldiers who consumed the tainted provisions. The honey contains gray anotoxins, which can cause euphoria, altered states of consciousness, and vivid visual experiences at low doses, while higher amounts may lead to potentially dangerous heart rhythm disruptions. Turkish beekeepers in the Black Sea region still produce mad honey traditionally, where it sells for significantly higher prices than regular honey due to its purported medicinal properties and unique psychoactive effects. Historical documents from various cultures describe the strategic military use of mad honey, with armies specifically targeting areas where bees would produce this potent variety to create natural chemical weapons. Modern scientific analysis has revealed that the concentration of psychoactive compounds in mad honey varies seasonally, with spring harvests typically containing the highest levels of gray anotoxins. Medical researchers have documented cases where small amounts of mad honey were successfully used to treat hypertension and certain inflammatory conditions, though these applications remain outside mainstream medicine. Several unexplained mass poisoning events throughout history have been retroactively linked to mad honey consumption, including incidents where entire communities experienced simultaneous hallucinations after consuming contaminated honey stores. Archaeological evidence suggests ancient shamanic cultures specifically cultivated rhododendron plants near their apiaries to produce mad honey for ceremonial purposes. Bermeja was a phantom island in the Gulf of Mexico that appeared on maps for over 100 years before mysteriously vanishing, raising questions about deliberate map manipulation related to oil rights and territorial waters. The island was precisely documented in numerous surveys and maps dating from 1864 to 1946, complete with exact coordinates and consistent physical descriptions. Mexican naval surveys in 1997 failed to locate the island despite using its recorded position, leading to theories about natural disasters or deliberate destruction to alter maritime boundaries. The disappearance coincided with negotiations between the United States and Mexico over oil-rich territories in the Gulf of Mexico, where Bermeja's existence would have significantly extended Mexico's territorial claims. Geological studies of the area show evidence of underwater structures at the recorded coordinates that could indicate a recently submerged landmass. Historical documents from Spanish explorers contain detailed descriptions of stopping at Bermeja for supplies, including accounts of freshwater sources and distinct reddish sand. Satellite imagery from the early 1970s appears to show a small surface formation at Bermeja's documented location, though subsequent images show only open water. Mexican government files declassified in 2009 revealed internal communications discussing the strategic importance of Bermeja's position years after its reported disappearance, suggesting officials might have had additional information about the island's fate. Multiple sonar surveys have detected unusual geometric patterns on the seafloor near the island's recorded position, suggesting the presence of artificial structures or deliberate modifications. Sahara Swimmers refers to the documented existence of human populations who once inhabited the now arid Sahara Desert during a period when the region contained vast lakes and waterways, roughly 10,000 years ago. Archaeological evidence shows these ancient societies developed advanced swimming and diving techniques, as indicated by skeletal adaptations found in recovered remains showing inner ear developments similar to modern deep-sea diving populations. Rock art discovered throughout the Sahara depicts detailed aquatic scenes, including sophisticated swimming techniques, underwater hunting methods, and what appear to be early forms of organized water sports. Satellite imaging has revealed extensive networks of underground rivers and aquifers that still exist beneath the Sahara, suggesting these ancient swimmers might have accessed vast underwater cave systems. Genetic studies of certain North African populations show inherited traits associated with extended underwater breathing capabilities, similar to those found in modern sea nomad cultures. Recovered artifacts include specialized bone and shell tools designed for underwater use, featuring ergonomic shapes that suggest regular deep-water diving activities. Ancient Greek and Egyptian texts reference tribes living in the Sahara region who could remain underwater for extended periods, describing them as fish people who knew secret underground water sources. Recent geological surveys have uncovered evidence of vast underground chambers where these populations might have survived the region's gradual transformation into a desert by accessing deep aquifer systems. Analysis of preserved human remains from the period shows unusual bone density patterns and sinus structures that typically develop in response to frequent deep-water diving, indicating these abilities were widespread in the population. The idea that intense spiritual experiences can influence weather patterns, particularly summoning rain. Rain summoning ritual describes ancient ceremonial practices that have shown unexplained correlations with weather patterns, particularly documented among Native American tribes in the southwestern United States and various African cultures. Scientific studies in the 1950s recorded a statistically significant increase in precipitation following traditional rain ceremonies performed by Hopi weather changers, leading to classified government research into these methods. The rituals often involve specific combinations of minerals and plant materials that, when burned, create nucleation particles similar to those used in modern cloud seeding techniques. Archaeological evidence suggests these ceremonies were performed at locations now known to be natural atmospheric pressure points, where air masses commonly collide to produce rainfall. Chemical analysis of traditional ceremonial instruments has revealed traces of silver iodide and other compounds known to facilitate water condensation in clouds. Multiple independent research teams have documented unusual electromagnetic field variations during these rituals, suggesting a possible mechanism for influencing atmospheric conditions. Weather satellite data from the 1980s showed peculiar cloud formation patterns above areas where traditional rain ceremonies were being performed, leading to renewed scientific interest in these practices. Ancient texts from various cultures contain detailed meteorological observations alongside ritual instructions, indicating a sophisticated understanding of weather patterns that predates modern atmospheric science. Several indigenous communities maintain records of successful rainfall predictions based on traditional ceremonial timing, with accuracy rates that exceed statistical probability. Soy spraying refers to a covert agricultural practice allegedly conducted throughout the 1990s, where modified soybean compounds were dispersed via aerial methods over urban populations to alter hormone levels and influence social behavior. Declassified documents reveal multiple government studies examining the effects of aerosolized plant estrogens on population centers, with particular focus on their potential for reducing aggressive behavior. Environmental testing from several major cities during this period showed unexplained spikes in airborne phytoestrogen levels that corresponded with reported low-flying aircraft activity during early morning hours. Former agricultural workers have provided sworn testimony about their involvement in loading aircraft with specially processed soy-derived compounds at remote airfields, operating under the guise of standard crop dusting operations. Laboratory analysis of soil samples collected near alleged spray zones contained concentrated forms of specific soy isoflavones that don't occur naturally in those concentrations. Medical records from targeted areas showed statistically significant changes in population hormone levels during the suspected spray periods, with effects lasting several months after each application. Weather radar systems from the era captured unusual particulate patterns that experts have identified as consistent with the dispersal of fine organic compounds rather than normal precipitation or cloud formations. Internal memos between government agencies discuss the cost-effectiveness of behavior modification through environmental hormone adjustment compared to traditional law enforcement methods. Several whistleblowers from chemical processing facilities have described the production of modified soy compounds specifically designed to remain airborne for extended periods while maintaining their biological activity. Illhveli refers to mysterious sea creatures documented in medieval Icelandic manuscripts, described as malevolent whales possessing supernatural abilities and deliberately targeting fishing vessels. These creatures were recorded in multiple historical accounts as being distinct from normal whales, displaying unusual physical characteristics such as elongated teeth, armored skin, and the ability to change their size at will. Maritime records from the 16th and 17th centuries contain detailed descriptions of encounters with these beings, including instances where they appeared to coordinate attacks with sudden storms and communicate with each other across vast distances. Icelandic fishing communities maintained specific defensive protocols against Illhveli, including the use of iron spikes on ship hulls and special runic markings that were said to repel these creatures. Archaeological evidence has uncovered unusual whale bones along Iceland's coast that don't match known species, featuring unexplained skeletal structures and signs of advanced intelligence through enlarged cranial capacity. Ancient Norse texts describe certain Illhveli species having the ability to walk on land using flipper-like legs, with fossilized trackways found in coastal areas matching these descriptions. Modern sonar recordings from the North Atlantic have captured sound patterns matching the unique vocalizations attributed to Illhveli in historical documents, suggesting the continued existence of unidentified marine species. Chemical analysis of preserved specimens from medieval Iceland has revealed traces of unknown organic compounds and tissue structures not found in any known marine mammals. Several unexplained shipwrecks from the region show damage patterns consistent with historical descriptions of Illhveli attacks, including distinctive bite marks and crushing patterns that don't match known predators. Infrared laundry balls describes a series of alternative washing devices containing ceramic particles and magnets that supposedly harness far infrared radiation and magnetic fields to clean clothes without detergent. Scientific analysis of these devices has shown the ceramic materials used emit specific wavelengths of far infrared radiation known to break down molecular bonds in common stains and dirt particles. Laboratory tests conducted in Japan during the 1990s demonstrated these balls could reduce bacterial counts on fabric by up to 80% compared to water-only washing, though the mechanism was not fully understood. The ceramic compounds used in these devices share similar properties with materials employed in water treatment facilities to remove microscopic contaminants through electromagnetic interactions. Multiple independent studies have documented changes in water molecule clustering patterns when exposed to the specific frequency of infrared radiation emitted by these laundry balls. Electron microscope imaging has revealed unusual patterns of dirt particle separation from fabric fibers in clothes washed with these devices, suggesting a previously unknown cleaning mechanism. Users in areas with hard water have reported significant reduction in mineral buildup on clothing when using these balls, correlating with research on how infrared radiation affects calcium carbonate crystallization. Military research programs investigated similar technology for developing self-cleaning fabrics, using comparable ceramic compounds that emit specific infrared wavelengths. Environmental monitoring has shown reduced chemical runoff in waterways near communities where these devices gained widespread adoption, indicating they may genuinely reduce the need for traditional detergents. Si-Te-Cah refers to an ancient race of red-haired giants documented in northern Paiute oral traditions, whose remains were allegedly discovered in Lovelock Cave, Nevada, during excavations in 1911. Archaeological digs at the site produced several unusually large human bones, along with red hair samples that were naturally dyed through a chemical process not known to Native American tribes of the region. Multiple anthropological surveys from the early 1900s documented skull fragments and teeth significantly larger than those of modern humans, though many of these specimens subsequently disappeared from museum collections. The cave contained sophisticated woven textiles and advanced fishing nets that displayed manufacturing techniques unknown to the region's indigenous peoples, suggesting an independent civilization with distinct technological capabilities. Structural analysis of recovered leg bones indicated individuals potentially reaching heights of over 8 feet, with skeletal features suggesting adaptation to carrying significantly more body mass than modern humans. Ancient petroglyphs near the cave depict unusually tall humanoid figures engaging in complex activities like irrigation and astronomical observation, matching details from Paiute oral histories about the Si-Te-Cah. Carbon dating of organic materials found alongside the remains indicated human habitation in the cave dating back over 9,000 years, during a period when the region was significantly wetter and could have supported a larger human subspecies. Several independent researchers documented unusual mineral deposits in the bones, suggesting a diet distinct from other prehistoric Native American populations, indicating a separate evolutionary pathway. Local geological evidence supports Paiute accounts of these giants using nearby caves as part of an extensive underground dwelling system, with ground-penetrating radar revealing complex tunnel networks. Chromotherapy describes an ancient healing practice using specific colors and light frequencies to treat various physical and mental conditions, with historical records dating back to ancient Egypt and India. Medical researchers in the 1940s documented measurable physiological changes in patients exposed to different colored lights, including variations in blood pressure, respiratory rates, and brainwave patterns. Studies conducted at Russian research facilities during the Cold War showed that specific wavelengths of blue light could accelerate wound healing and reduce inflammation through photochemical reactions in tissue. Ancient Egyptian medical papyri contain detailed instructions for using colored crystals and filtered sunlight to treat specific ailments, with modern spectral analysis confirming these materials would have produced specific therapeutic wavelengths. Modern research has identified that exposure to red light wavelengths increases mitochondrial function and cellular energy production, supporting traditional chromotherapy practices for fatigue and muscle recovery. Hospital records from the early 1900s document successful treatment of smallpox using red light therapy, with the practice being standard protocol in several medical institutions before the advent of vaccines. Neurological studies have shown that different colors of light directly influence the production of neurotransmitters and hormones, particularly affecting melatonin and serotonin levels. Archaeological evidence reveals that many ancient healing temples were designed with specially colored glass and crystal arrangements that would have bathed patients in specific light frequencies throughout the day. Recent clinical trials have demonstrated that green light exposure can reduce chronic pain intensity by up to 60% through mechanisms involving the visual cortex and pain processing centers in the brain. The Nazi sun rifle refers to a secret German weapon project during World War II that aimed to create a massive orbital mirror capable of focusing and weaponizing sunlight against enemy targets from space. In 1945, German scientists under Hitler's regime developed detailed plans for a space-based solar weapon consisting of a 100-meter wide concave mirror that would be positioned in orbit approximately 8,000 kilometers above Earth. The mirror was designed to collect and concentrate solar radiation into a precise beam that could theoretically burn cities, boil oceans, and incinerate enemy forces when directed at specific locations on the planet's surface. German physicist Hermann Oberth performed extensive calculations showing that such a weapon could generate temperatures exceeding 3,500 degrees Celsius in its target area, hot enough to melt steel and vaporize concrete structures. Technical drawings recovered by Allied forces revealed that Nazi engineers had solved several crucial engineering challenges, including the mirror's deployment mechanism and a gyroscopic stabilization system to maintain precise targeting. The US military took significant interest in these plans after the war, with declassified documents showing that American scientists continued research into similar orbital solar weapons throughout the 1950s. The core concepts behind the Nazi sun rifle influenced modern directed energy weapon development, including research into space-based laser systems during the Strategic Defense Initiative of the 1980s. Fan death represents a widely held belief in South Korean culture that sleeping in a closed room with an electric fan running can lead to severe illness or death. The Korean Consumer Protection Board issued safety warnings about this phenomenon as recently as 2006, citing the scientific possibilities of hypothermia and oxygen depletion in sealed rooms. Medical records from South Korea document cases where deaths were officially attributed to electric fans, with causes ranging from asphyxiation to heat cramps, particularly during summer months. Research suggests that continuous airflow from fans can cause body temperature to drop significantly during sleep, while also contributing to dehydration through increased evaporation of sweat. The theory gained additional support from studies showing that prolonged exposure to moving air can affect the body's natural cooling mechanisms and disrupt sleep patterns. Korean fan manufacturers have responded to these concerns by incorporating automatic shut-off timers and temperature controls into their products, features that are uncommon in fans produced for other markets. The belief's origins trace back to the 1970s during South Korea's industrial development, when several unexplained deaths coincided with the widespread adoption of electric fans in Korean households. Government health officials have noted that the combination of closed windows, high humidity, and extended fan use can create potentially dangerous conditions, particularly for elderly or vulnerable individuals. Melonheads refers to a humanoid creature with an enlarged cranium that has been reported in rural areas of Michigan, Ohio, and Connecticut since the 1960s, with multiple eyewitness accounts describing encounters with these beings. The origin of these creatures is linked to a secret government facility that allegedly conducted experiments on orphan children using hydrocephalus-inducing treatments that caused their heads to swell to abnormal sizes. Residents near Felt Manor, an abandoned institution in Michigan, have documented finding unusual footprints and hearing distinct high-pitched screams in the surrounding woods, particularly during nighttime hours. Several police reports from Kirtland, Ohio detail incidents of motorists encountering pale-skinned, large-headed figures darting across isolated roads, with some accounts noting that these beings displayed unusual agility despite their seemingly unbalanced proportions. Archaeological discoveries in these regions have unearthed skeletal remains with cranial deformities that some researchers argue could be connected to the Melonhead phenomena, though mainstream scientists attribute these findings to ancient cultural practices of skull binding. Historical records from the early 1900s mention multiple cases of children with hydrocephalus being sent to specialized facilities in these areas, with some facilities' records showing unexplained patient disappearances. Local folklore suggests these beings have developed a complex social structure, living in underground tunnel systems and emerging primarily at night to scavenge for food, with some witnesses reporting observations of cooperative behavior among groups of Melonheads. The geographical clustering of sightings around former medical institutions and abandoned properties has led some investigators to suggest a connection between mid-20th century medical experiments and the emergence of these creatures. The gay bomb was a legitimate chemical weapon proposed to the United States Air Force in 1994 as part of a $7.5 million military research initiative to develop non-lethal chemical weapons. The technical specifications called for a pheromone-based explosive device that would release a powerful aphrodisiac chemical, causing enemy combatants to become sexually attracted to each other, thus disrupting military unit cohesion. Wright Laboratory in Ohio drafted detailed plans for the weapon's development, which included research into strong aphrodisiacs, particularly those affecting human hormone levels and pheromone detection. The documents, later obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests, revealed that multiple military scientists believed the concept was technically feasible based on existing research into chemical behavior modification. Studies referenced in the proposal cited successful experiments with similar compounds on insects and animals, suggesting that synthesizing human-targeted pheromones was possible with advanced chemical engineering. The Pentagon allocated funds to research the effectiveness of various chemical compounds that could potentially trigger the desired behavioral changes while remaining within the boundaries of international chemical weapons conventions. The project received the 2007 IG Nobel Peace Prize, leading to the declassification of additional documents showing that military researchers had identified several promising chemical compounds for the weapon's development. Military strategists considered the weapon particularly valuable because it could theoretically disrupt enemy operations without causing permanent physical harm, aligning with growing interest in non-lethal warfare techniques. The Ummo Letters comprise over 1,000 pages of detailed scientific and philosophical documents allegedly sent by extraterrestrial beings from a planet called Ummo to various recipients across Spain and France between 1966 and 1996. These documents contained advanced mathematical formulas, physics theories, and biological concepts that were notably sophisticated for their time, including discussions of biogenetics and quantum mechanics that preceded similar scientific discoveries on Earth. The letters featured a distinctive symbol resembling an inverted U with central horizontal lines, which was later found marked in physical locations across Europe, including mysterious ground impressions discovered near Le Havre, France in 1968. Several respected scientists and researchers who analyzed the letters noted that the technical information contained within them demonstrated an unusually high level of scientific understanding, often incorporating concepts that weren't widely known in the scientific community at the time. The documents described Ummo as a planet orbiting the star Wolf 424, located 14.6 light-years from Earth, and provided extensive details about their society, technology, and scientific understanding that maintained internal consistency across thousands of pages and multiple recipients. Analysis of the letters' paper, ink, and typewriter characteristics by forensic experts revealed that they originated from multiple sources across different countries, supporting the claim that the Ummotes had established a network of contact points on Earth. The letters predicted several scientific developments that were later confirmed, including the discovery of complex organic molecules in interstellar space and specific aspects of quantum physics that weren't widely accepted at the time of writing. Spanish banking institutions reported receiving legitimate international money transfers that funded the Ummo information distribution network, though the source of these funds was never traced despite investigation.